go back to our problem. So far, we have talked about n jobs and two machines, and even we talked about n jobs and three machines, when which we convert the three machine into two equivalent machine to find out the sequence. Then we solve for the three machines problem. Similarly, in today's class, we'll be looking into n jobs and m machine. Right. So zoom a bit. We have got n jobs and m machine. So which means that we have got n jobs, n equals to 4. Then m machines, m equals to 6. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have got 4 jobs and 6 machines, right? So this is a typically an important thing, right? We have got the order A, B, C, D, F, so which is the not a reversal or not a change in the order, but we want to first do it in the normal procedure. Then we can look into the reversal order or a differential orders, like so that we can achieve what is the best optimal allocation or sequence for that particular order, right? So first what we do is like we will take the question and we will put a nomenclature like row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, and row 6. So that's why it says m equals to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is m minus 1, and this m minus 2, and so on. So this is m equals to 6. Now we need to look into the condition. Like so, in this case also, we'll be taking the entire 6 machine problems. We'll be converting into 2 equivalent machine for finding out the sequence using Johnson's algorithm. I repeat, no matter how many numbers of machines available, we need to convert into 2 equivalent of it so that we can find the optimal sequence using Johnson's algorithm. Then we can find out the in time, out time of these different machines, right? So that's basically the idea, right? So the same, the two conditions that we use to convert 3 machines into equivalent 2 machines problem. So the condition 1 is that minimum time on machine 1 should be greater than or equals to maximum time on machine 2, 3, and it goes on till m minus 1, right? So I repeat, minimum time on machine 1 is equals or greater than equals to maximum time on machine 2, 3, and m minus 1. So which means that minimum time on machine 1, row 1, what's the minimum? Minimum is 13, which should be greater than maximum time of row B, C, D, and E. So that's m minus 1. So among this, the maximum time should be minimum of this row 1. So we'll just take a look at that. So minimum on row 1, I mean maximum machine 1 is that minimum is 13, and the maximum of this particular matrix. So in this case, the maximum will be probably 11. Yeah, 12. Yes, so 12. So 12. So 12 is less than 13. So this condition is true. So luckily for this problem, this condition is true, right? Then condition number 2. Minimum time on machine M should be greater than or equals to maximum time on machine 2 to m minus 1. So which means that we take this row, minimum time on this, say minimum time is here is 14, should be greater than equals to maximum time of this middle P2E, or this is 2 to m minus 1. So the maximum time here is already we have found it is 12. So that is less than 14. So which means the condition 2 also gets satisfied. So minimum time on the final machine should be greater than or equals to maximum time of P2E, or the intermediate 2 to m minus 1. And that's the condition 2. The condition 1 is minimum time on machine 1. It is greater than equals to maximum time on B2E, or 2 to m minus 1. So in this case is 13, which is greater than 12, and the condition 2, which is 14, which is greater than 12, and both conditions get satisfied, so that we can convert this into 2 equivalent machines, right? So this is pretty much the same. So what we do is we will be taking A to m minus 1, Then we will be taking A, B, C, D, E. Then we'll be taking B, C, D, E, and F. So that's why we convert that into two machines. So I repeat, probably I can go to the example 3 and come back to this. Probably you can understand much better. In an example 3, we talked about three machines in which we can do two equivalent steps. Say, how do we make two equivalent steps of that? We add AC, that particular elements, we call it machine 1. Then we talked about CB, which is the bottom and the middle. When we add together, we formed two machine 2, so equivalent machine 2. Say, you can take R1 plus R2, R1 plus R2 here. Then for machine 1, for machine 2, it is R2, row 2 plus row 3. So what we mean by this, that is first row, which is 1, row 1. Okay, I'll put it 1 here. Okay. Then this is the mth row. So which means that first row plus all intermediate, intermediate plus all m row, excluding can put excluding first row, that is R1, right? And this is excluding M, that is R. So which means that in the first case, for machine 1, we will exclude M, which is the last row. And for the next machine, we'll exclude the first row, then we'll calculate remaining till M. So that's the basic logic, right? So the same logic, we're going to apply it for this example also. So in this case, the first row, first machine will be machine 1 equals to, we'll take first machine, which is A. Then we'll talk about machine 2, equivalent machine, which is B plus C. We exclude row 1. Then we talked about other elements, and also we'll be talking about final M also. So that's how we formulate the two equivalent machine. So it doesn't matter if you have any numbers of machine, you can pretty well convert that, because this is very important, because the first row plus all the elements in the middle will be the machine 1. Then all the elements in the middle plus the last row will be the machine 2. So understand that. So this is very important that you should really take a look at it. All right. So this is how we convert that into two equivalent machines. Say here it is M1 and M2. It's no more in machine A and machine B. So you can probably just give me a second. I'll copy it for all. This is for the sequencing, and that gets applied to entire machines thereafter, right? So first step was to make this particular, table form with the machine 1 this side and machine 2. And the order is probably, it's very important. It's A, B, C. So we can probably have a machine 1 and machine 2. Or if you convert into equivalent terms, it is just generally machine 1 and machine 2. So order here does not make any significance for an equivalent machines, right? Right, so we generally take machine 1 and machine 2, not machine 2 and machine 1, right? So among this, we'll find out the minimum. Minimum is 41. So that corresponds to machine 2 and job 4. So we'll put job 4, machine 2 will be the first here. Then we'll mask that particular column. Then among this, we will be looking into machine 1, job 3, which is the least, 46. Then we'll put job 3 here. Then followed by, we'll mask that particular column. We left with 55, 56, 62, and 58. 55 being the least, that is job 1, machine 1. So we'll directly put job 1 here. And finally, we have left out with only one column, which is 56 and 58. And out of this, J2 goes for machine 1. And finally, once you do that particular sequence, then particular machine 1 Yes, Sachin. Sachin. All right. So once you do this particular, sequencing, this will be our optimal sequence. So this is our optimal sequence. So for our objective is to find out this optimal sequence only. Then probably you can put it in this machine A, machine B, machine C, machine D, and the machine E to F, and the normal procedure follows. Like we'll find out time in, time out. So this will be our delay because machine B cannot start unless machine A gets over, and so as machine C cannot start unless machine D is over, and so on. And finally, we'll calculate the overall elapsed time, which is 130 minutes, and probably you can find out the ideal time, and I can even find out the total ideal time of machine also. Find the total ideal time of the entire operation or all the emissions around 139. So that divided by 60 will give it in terms of hours at 6.65 hours, something like that. If it is minutes and this is hours, something like that. All right, so this completes, sequencing in terms of numerical procedure, especially Johnson's algorithm. A quick recap. So we talked about two machines and M jobs. Here M is equals to, N jobs, which is N is equals to 5. And we also talked about two machines and 6 jobs. Using Johnson's algorithm, we have found out the sequencing, and we talked about three machines and jobs. Here n is equals to 6 and the number of machines is 3, so we convert that into two equivalent machines. Then we extrapolated the idea for 6 jobs, 4 jobs and 6 machines, and then 6 machine gets converted into two equivalent machines. Then we use Johnson's algorithm to find out the optimal sequence. Then we put that into our tabulation for computing the ideal times and elapsed times. So this will be our elapsed time, and ideal time of individual machines are calculated, and total idle time of the entire operation is calculated. And this is how you generally do for, many machines or M machines and N jobs, right? This is the one, right? So this is the problem. I'll zoom a bit. Right. So right. So this is the problem. We have got. One second. This is the problem. We have got two jobs and M machines. Here M equals to 4. Right. So we have got 4 machines and N equals to 2. 2 jobs. Right. Right. So this is the order. A, B, C, D, and E. So the order is A, B, C, D, and E. Right. So that's the order in which it gets performed. So what basically we do is we'll perform this entire calculations in form of this kind of sequencing or optimal sequencing, and also finding out the elapsed time as well as the ideal time using the graph itself, right? So that's a very important thing that you should know, right? Right. So this we'll come back to a little later, right? So first, what we do is we'll calculate the sum of all times for a particular job. Here it is 21. And similarly, we'll be calculating here also 21. And this is called performance time of job 1. Right. And this is also performance time, but for job 2. Right. So once we make here, we have got, um, to performance time, which is 21. Luckily, here it is same, but it might be variable, right? So this is the x-axis. This particular value is our x-axis. This particular value is our y-axis, right? Say that's why we have got 21 for job 2, which is y-axis. Y here, and can even put x here, and this is 21. The reason is that both have the performance time to be 1, right? So we'll put job 1 in x-axis and job 2 in y-axis, right? Say I can put y here. Yeah, y-axis, right? So I can zoom a little bit that it will be visible, right? So job 1 and job 2 is given, and then we will be formulating this procedure. So first will be an x-axis and y-axis with the performance time being marked. Then very importantly, you can see here the order of mission is A, B, C, D, E for job 1, whereas the order for mission B, or I mean job 2, is B, C, A, D, E. So which means both are got no order, differential order, right? So first we'll go with x-axis, which is mission A, B, C, D, and E. Right. So the duration for mission A is 4 minutes. Say we have got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means that 0 to 1 is 1, 1 to 2 is 2, 2 to 3 is 3, 3 to 4 is 4. So we have got 4 minutes duration. Then you draw a vertical line. So this red color line is drawn for the time of mission A for job 1, right? So the horizontal vertical is for mission A job 1. So all job 1s are vertical lines. All job 2s are horizontal lines. So we'll come back to that. Then what is mission B duration is 6. Say 4 to 5 is 1, 5 to 6 is 2, 6 to 7 is 3, 7 to 8 is 4, 8 to 9 is 5, and 9 to 10 is 6. So which means we have got 6 minutes duration, and we draw a vertical line. So this corresponds to job 1 mission B. And similarly, mission C. Mission C has got only 3 minutes duration. So 10 to 1 is 1, 10 to 11 is 1, 11 to 12 is 2, 12 to 13 is 3. So which means we have got 3 minutes duration. You draw a vertical line. You draw a vertical line. And mission D has got 6 duration. Say 13 to 14 is 1, 14 to 15 is 2, 15 to 16 is 3, 16 to 17 is 4, 17 to 18 is 5, 18 to 19 is 6. So we draw a vertical line that meets the top extreme point, which is 21, and that is mission D job 1. And similarly, we know E, that is V2, and the extra boundary line need not be provided because it's already the boundary, right? So, or if you don't have a boundary, you just run through from 19 to 20 is 1, 20 to 21 is 2, and then there onwards you till the top, right? So this is how it is, right? And then similarly, we repeat the pattern for mission B for job 2. So it is mission B. So here, luckily, we have got this will be, this particular duration will be A. This will be, for B or something like that. Let me fix this to some degree. Yeah, so 0 to A. Something like that. From here to here, it is A. From here to here, it is B and C and D and E, right? So something like that. For job 2, from 0 to 5, that is for mission B. So we have got 5 duration. This is mission B. Remember, this is mission B. It's not A, it is B. 0 to 5. Okay. 0 to 1 is 1, 1 to 2 is 2, 2 to 3 is 3, 3 to 4 is 4, 4 to 5 is 5. So job 2 mission B is 5. Then mission C has 4 duration for job 2. Say mission C 1, 2, 3, and 4. think this is, I put it at center, which is machine C. I think it's merge center. It's something like it's C. Totally, it's C. Both this particular, cell and this particular cell is C, and here it is B. Other. And then machine A has got 4 duration from here to here, here to here, here to here, and it's 4. So 9 to 10 is 1, 10 to 11 is 2, 11 to 12 is 3, 12 to 13 is 4. So that's why it is something like 4. It's actually, if you can do it in graph sheet, you can probably do it much better. Can even extend this, something like this. Yeah, so we have got 4. That is machine A, machine A. Then machine D is 2 duration, only this 2. So we can put it machine D. And then finally, everything is machine E. Machine E. Right, something. Right. So why I spend time on this is because this is very important for the next step. Right. So I can change colors. Change. Or I'll just give the default colors so that I can replicate that. Right. All right. We have given it for the blocks. So probably brown, reddish brown. Right. So this is how it is done. And you mark horizontal lines and you mark vertical lines. That's pretty much simple. And this is job A, job B, job C, job D, and job E. So this lines A, B, C, D, and E, right? So this width is A, B, C, D, and E, right? So similarly, B, C, A, B, and E. So far, we have drawn this particular line. So far it's very simple. Then what we do is we need to map machine A in both X and Y. So machine A, the duration for A is 4. So which means we know this is 4. And machine A, the duration for job 2 is also 4. So which means it comes here. So this is A, and which has got 4 duration and height of 4. So we'll block this particular cell. I repeat, job 1 is also 4 duration and job 2 is also 4 duration, and we will highlight this particular cell. So this is our block 1, right? Now let's take a look at machine B, which has got 6 duration for job 1, whereas machine B is having only 5 duration for job 2, right? So in x-axis it is 6 duration, whereas in a y-axis of machine B is just 5 duration. So that's how this block is, highlighted. This is for job 1, 6 duration, and job 2 is 5 duration. This both of A, this is A, this is B, right? So it gets marked here. And same way, C has got 3 x-axis and C has got 4 y-axis, right? So this is C and this is C here. This width is C and this particular thing is C. So which means the intersection is here. And it is automatic. Do not worry about it. So you do not exceed this block. So the reason we draw this block is to make this particular, blocks. Reason we draw these lines or imaginary lines is to make this block. And in fact, you can draw this line, imaginary line in pencil, and you can erase it once you make it with the colored blocks or something like that, right? So or if you want to retain it is also is fine. So absolutely not necessary, right? Then we'll go back to D. D have a 6 x-axis and 2 y-axis. So that's why D has 6 x-axis and that will correspond to D here, which is this cell, which is having only 2 duration. So that's why we mark this particular block, right? Then we talked about final machine, which is E, which has got only 2 x-axis, 2 axis in duration. This is E, and corresponding to 6 stuff 6 units in y-axis. So that's all. So you first formulate x and y-axis, then you label, we create an imaginary line with the units of time of particular machines in both horizontal and vertical. If you take horizontal, you have a vertical line, and if you take vertical line, you'll have a vertical entity, you'll have a horizontal line. So as simple as that, right? Then we'll be finding out the point of intersection of the machines with this corresponding durations, and you shade that. So this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D, and this is E. So this is typically that, right? Now it's very important, so kindly pay attention to it. What we do is we will be taking point 0, 0, that is the origin, and we start drawing a 45-degree lines. Say we try to draw a line which is 45-degree, such a way that it does not hit any, uh, does not penetrate through any block, but instead, if there is an obstruction, it can traverse through that. Traverse through that in a minimum distance. Say, for example, this is 45-degree line. Tan 45 is 1, so you can take 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and 4, 4. At 4, 4, you find that there is an obstruction, right? So you cannot directly penetrate to it. So instead, you can climb on that particular or traverse on that particular in a horizontal or vertical direction. So in this case, it is better we can, it will be only possible to go vertically, right? So once you go vertically and reach a point called 4, 5, and then you can free to go. So it's as simple as that. So I repeat, 45-degree line from the origin gets drawn such a way that it should not penetrate through a block, but instead it can hit on a block and it can traverse either vertically or horizontally, right? So in this case, it goes vertically. And then from that point onwards, it is free to go continue the 45-degree lines, right? So there won't be any obstruction. You see, this block does not obstruct here, so that you can go freely from this point onwards, not from this point onwards. And you can even also note that um, you cannot go horizontally here because the duration will be pretty heavy. So it will be just an inclined line that goes, but in an unavoidable circumstances only, we will be going either vertical or horizontal. So in this case, is vertical. Then we can go back to the particular thing until there's a point called 13, 14, when which it hits this particular block, which is the D, machine D. Then you traverse and unit up, then you can go continue the 45-degree line. So this is very common. Then at this point, you need to reach the final destination of 21 minutes. So then you can take a horizontal path. So after this, you can take a horizontal path, right? So the number of vertical lines, its corresponding durations, like 14 to 15 is 1, and 4 to 5 is 1. So this particular duration is the ideal time for machine. Vertical is for job 2, horizontal is for job 1. So number of vertical lines is 2, and then sum of durations of this 2 is 1 plus 1 is 2 is the ideal time for machine, job 2, right? So here it is job 2, so ideal time is 2. And horizontal lines, so we have got 2 horizontal lines. Then if we go by this, this is 19 to 20 is 1, 20 to 21 is 2. So the ideal time for job 1, which is horizontal, number of horizontal is 2. I can even put number of horizontal multiplied by units, and same way number of vertical multiplied by units is job 2. So that will be ideal time, right? So that's how we calculate this. So since we have got 2 as the ideal time, then elapsed time, which is elapsed time job 1 equals to sum of all this things, which is the performance time, performance time plus ideal time. So the performance time for both is 21, time of job 2 is 23 minutes as well, right? So that comes to the end of today's lecture.